Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 Leadership. Broad subject of leadership. So, Stephen Reif, interesting. I called him Stephen Ruggief for a long time. I mean, Ruggief, that's kind of how it's spelled, but it's Reif. He sent in a question. He says, how do I become the quality of leader that can run a truly thriving business? So, Stephen Reif, I appreciate you sending that. Fun fact about Stephen, I think this is funny. He's allergic to apples, yet he loves apple pie. I'm allergic to potatoes, and I love potatoes. So many times if I'm going to In-N-Out or something like that, do I want fries to go with that burger? Yeah, it's worth it for a couple hours of sneezing and stuff like that. So I hear you loud and clear, okay? So listen, if I want to just generalize it, and bring it down to 4. I'm kind of sitting here in the library. John Maxwell wrote a book years ago, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. I mean, he narrowed it down to 21. Something tells me Maxwell could have, pegged it on, 30 or 40 or something like that. But I just want to kind of simplify it and bring it down to 4 that I've observed in my time. So here we go. Number 1 is going to be persistence. Okay? A leader, especially a leader of a business, an entrepreneur, I mean, you have to have extremely thick skin. The mascot, in the early days of business was a rhino. A rhino charges to the goals and they got thick skin. You can't penetrate, you can't shoot that rhino kind of thing. I really think that's so true. In the world of persistence, you're never going to hear somebody say, at the top of the ladder, yeah, listen, I just quit my way to the top. Oh yeah, times got tough and I walked, man. Things got tough. I left. And that's why I'm where I'm at today. No, obviously. That's not the case. There is a level of persistence. There is a level of fight that every leader has to have in them. If you're soft and you kind of, if the wind can kind of knock you out, so to speak, that's not really the quality of a leader. So a leader really is tough. And we all have learned to respect athletes and business people that are super resilient and tough. We're in the NFL playoffs here in the LA Rams. There's a video of Matthew Stafford when he played with the Lions where he separated his shoulder. Other team calls a timeout and he's asking if he can get back on the field. How do you just not respect a guy like that? If you're shoulder to shoulder on this guy's team, how does that not inspire you? You want to level up because of that persistent leader that you have. So you have to have a level of persistence. One thing I've just observed even with people that go the distance into consulting, if you want to find the commonalities, like, well, did they study the certain things at school? Do they have the same kind of degree? Are they all men? Are they all women? And it's like, listen, it's all over the map. The only commonality of people that go the distance to become consultants is, man, they are tough sons of guns. They know how to take a punch. Another book, I want to throw some book references here. Somebody gave me this years ago, and of course I marked it up. Forbes' Greatest Business Story of All Times. I think it's 20 Inspiring Tales of Entrepreneurs Who Changed the Way We Live and Do Business by Daniel Gross. And so as I'm reading this book, it's great because it's like 20 little books all in one book. So you can kind of pick the entrepreneur you're interested in and read it. And as I'm reading this book, I realized that, man, these people that run household name companies like the Bill Gates of this world, Henry Ford, J.D. Rockefeller, all these interesting stories, Mary Kay Ash, man, these guys went through crazy intense adversity. Like way more, like as I'm reading it, I'm like, man, my life's not this hard. This is one of the things I thought of as I'm reading this. I'm like, man, this sounds really tricky and difficult compared to what I got to go through. By the time I was done reading this book, I'm like, the only common denominator of these big time entrepreneurs is they all went to hell and back. Like they went through it. They went through really tough times. And I understood loud and clear reading that book I have to have a level of persistence if I expect to win, at anything. So again, nobody quit their way to the top. I love that quote. Second thing I have for you, Stephen, is your example. Okay? Your example. It's like I've learned, being a father, children do not learn with their ears, they learn with their eyes. Okay? What they care about is what they see dad doing, not what they hear dad doing. I could tell them what to do, or I could show them what to do. There's a big difference. So the power of role modeling, the most effective way to teach, in my opinion, is to model. Be the example you want your people to be. I remember, years ago, early in my career, sitting around with a bunch of leaders after, work is all done, and I'm just kind of complaining about my crew. And I'm like, man, my guys suck, these guys aren't very good. And I appreciate a good friend of mine, fellow leader in the office, calling me out and says, well, hey, Jamie, you know why your guys suck, right? And I'm like, no. I'm like, well, they suck because you suck. If you're complaining that your guys are 2s and 3s, maybe it's because you're a 4. And maybe if you want your guys to become 8s and 9s, maybe you got to step up and be a 9. And I'm like, is that a true statement? My people are just a reflection of me? And so I was thinking a little bit. I'm like, okay, one of the things that bugs me about my guys is that, they're not asking questions. They're not, they just, they're just not taking initiative to ask. And again, I thought, okay, well, maybe they're not seeing me ask. And the more I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, actually, my guys never see the student Jamie show up. They always see Jamie the teacher, or Jamie the trainer, but they don't see Jamie the student. So, I went out of my way that when, little things came up in the office, I'm like, hey, that's an interesting scenario. Hey, let's go ask Dale real quick, what he would do in this particular situation. So I just started modeling a student behavior. And go figure, you can already guess what started happening with my guys. I want my people to show up earlier. Guess what? I show up earlier. I want my people to dress a little sharper. Guess what? I dress a little sharper. Be the example that you want your people to be. Okay? I remember hearing in an interview with Doug Collins. Okay? He was the Chicago Bulls coach way back in the day. And he said, the interesting thing about having Michael Jordan on the team is, as a coach, you don't have to condition your players. Because you got Michael on the team. Michael will show up 2 hours before practice, and eventually, Scottie Pippen will be like, hey, Michael, what time did you show up? You're already in a sweat. We're just starting practice. Oh, yeah, I showed up 2 hours early. Then he shows up 2 hours early. Then the whole team shows up 2 hours early. And so if you have MJ on the team, everybody levels up due to his example. Okay? You can study all the great athletes, from Jerry Rice, Kobe Bryant, the list goes on, and you'll see, man, these guys just have an insane example that they show. They end up getting the respect of their teammates, and other people are inspired to level up. Okay, so persistence, your example. And then the third thing I have for you is there has to be a value add. Okay, there has to be a value add. Just think of a couple household businesses we all know. Amazon. Okay, whether you love or hate Amazon, Bezos was obsessed with creating a culture of customer service. He is the gold standard of e-commerce customer service, right? Before Amazon showed up, you bought something, you take it to a store, and hey, do you have a receipt for that? I'm like, oh, I think I have a receipt. Well, you need a receipt to bring it back. If, otherwise, you're out of luck. Or even if you do have a receipt, oh no, we gave you, 30 days, it's past that window. Sorry. The other day, I went to the UPS store to drop off an Amazon thing that I just didn't want it. I purchased something, I figured, you know what? I don't really want this, I don't need it. Did I box it up? No. Did I have to get on a 30-minute call to try to exchange the item or return the item? They make it so easy, okay? They just make it so easy from a customer standpoint of buying stuff, returning stuff. They're the gold standard of what customers... So that's their value add, okay? You know, if you're buying on Amazon, you know you're going to get unbelievable service. There's the value add. Apple, you know you're going to get an unbelievable product. I don't hear a lot of people complaining, about their iPhones or their Apple. And I know some people are, oh, no, Jamie, you should take a look at Samsung. Okay, probably. I'll give you that. But as an Apple customer, man, they make a product that nobody else can make. There's value in the intuitiveness of Apple products. I love it. So again, these companies are very clear in what's their value add. Okay? In my last episode, talking about the trifecta, and I talked about personal and professional growth. I mean, I really had to think in my own business, like I got to be clear on what I'm bringing to the table. Okay? Like why would the sharpest candidates, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the best and brightest. Okay? I've applied for the award, best and brightest award, in America. I want to attract the best and brightest people. Okay, so what is, Jamie, be clear. What is your value proposition? What value are you adding candidates to your business? And again, that's where I just really put a lot of attention and effort into, listen, I really care, about people's personal and professional development. And you know what? I'm going to really, own this space. I'm going to step into this space. Like I got to read more books and I got to, give away more books to people. I need to improve my game and level up and help my people level up. So again, all I'm saying is just be very clear on what you're bringing to the table. What value are you bringing your customer? Again, in Amazon and Apple's case, and in the case of building a business, what value are you bringing? I mean, I've looked at it like, listen, I've got a great career opportunity for people. There's value in that, to be your own boss, be an entrepreneur, call your shots, have uncapped income. I mean, there's something really cool about that. So there's a value add with that. There's a value add with the experience that I'm offering people. I mean, just the art of salesmanship, the art of learning how to recruit. I mean, there's value in that. And there's value in the personal and professional development that I'm going to be bringing my people. So again, just get clear. Just get very clear on what you're bringing to the table. Okay? In the world of leadership. Muy importante. And the fourth thing, and this is just my perspective, you got to care. You truly have to care. I mean, I've thought about this. I mean, dogs are smart enough to smell fear. I think everybody watching this video would say, yep, dogs are smart enough. They know when you're scared, and they know when other dogs are scared. They're just intuitive. Like animals know this stuff. Well, if it's true that dogs are smart enough to not necessarily smell fear, but sense fear, humans, I believe, are smart enough to smell insincerity. Everybody knows when you're being duped by somebody being insincere. You can even think of an example right now. I could think of examples right now of like, that guy's not sincere. That person wants me to do something, but are they really looking after me? I really believe, and I want to believe this, at least even just for my own culture and my own business, I want to be in an environment where, people care. I mean, do you care about the people you work with? Are you interested in their personal lives? Are you interested in their growth? Are you interested in what kind of human being they are outside of your business? So, there's an old saying of, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I've always bought into that. Gary Polson challenged me, years ago. He says, that old saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. That may or may not be true. I'm like, what? Never heard a guy challenge that. He says, but I do know this to be absolute. People know you care when you prepare. I'm like, ooh, Gary. But again, he got me thinking on that. Is that true? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I guess maybe there could be some question around that. I want to be the person that does care, and hopefully people know that that I care, and then maybe they want to learn. Thus these videos, I do care about the growth of the people that I'm working with. But hey, do people know I care if I prepare? if I'm putting thought into the game plan, into the attack before I execute, absolutely. And again, I think when people know that you care, when they sense a level of sincerity, they're motivated. They want to work with people like that. And so, again, to me, those are the four elements really of leadership. You know, again, persistence. Nobody quit their way to the top. You got to just stay in the pocket. You got to be strong. You got to be the example. You got to be clear on your value add, and you got to truly care about other people. That's what I have for you today, Stephen. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys soon.